Hi, I'm Julie Legal, Dreamforce Conference Chair, and welcome to Salesforce Live, The Road to Dreamforce. I'm personally very excited about this week's topic, which is women ruling tech, most specifically women in technology at Dreamforce, and some very exciting programs that we have this year at the conference, which of course is November 18th through 21st here in San Francisco, if you haven't already marked your calendar. We have a very special guest flown in from Houston, Texas to join us today, Geraldine Gray. Geraldine, if you can go ahead and introduce yourself to the people on the broadcast.
Hi, I'm Geraldine Gray. I run Endium, which is a Salesforce practice based in Houston. I've been working with Salesforce for 13 years, and I've been consulting for the last 7. And I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you. Oh, also, I started the Girly Geeks.
Most importantly, why you're here today. So we're going to be talking about the Girly Geeks, and one of the Girly Geeks who's joining us today is Marissa, who will tell you how you can get your questions answered during today's broadcast. Marissa?
Thanks so much, Julie. I am also really excited to have Geraldine here, and so are the social streams. We already have questions coming in. So if you have questions for Geraldine or the Girly Geeks, please use hashtag Salesforce Live on Twitter, or post them on the side of your screen in the social streams. We'll be getting to them throughout the episode, and we really look forward to engaging with you.
Great. Thanks, Marissa. Well, as Geraldine, as you've already mentioned, the main reason we have you here today is your role as founder of the Girly Geeks. And I, of course, want to mention that the first time we met was when I interviewed you on the very first Salesforce Live at Dreamforce in 2010. I think we have a picture of me with some very regrettable bangs interviewing you.
Some very regrettable shoes.
From you and Brandy Colmer about the Girly Geeks. Can you explain sort of how they came into being, what gave you the idea, and how you got it started?
Yeah, so it started as a social... It started with the social enterprise platform, right? And it really started as a social group. So I'd been to Dreamforce a couple of times. I'd always had a good educational experience, but I didn't really have a big social outlet. 2009, I met Brandy. We were roomies, and we really had a lot of fun. 2010, I thought there are other women coming to Dreamforce on their own who don't know anyone, or worse, with their male boss, and they want to go out and they want to do things and they want to find someone to hang out with. So we started the Girly Geeks. The first year we have a photo of the first year. There was really just a few of us. So the first year we had about 25 women. We had a pay for yourself event down at the press club, and we just had a few glasses of wine and a few people. But what it meant was that you had someone else to hang out with. So people started doing things outside of the happy hour. And then 2011, we teamed up with one of the other social groups, and there was maybe 80 or 100 women. It was a bit crazy, but it meant that people, again, had someone to hang out with, right? And they also had somebody to go to other sessions with. They had people to connect with. And then by the time we got to 2012, it had really grown up. And suddenly we were not just a bunch of bandit Girly Geeks, we were actually kind of a force to be reckoned with. So we have a photo from 2012. There you go. 500 women sitting in a room, and none of them left their seats. It was incredible. We had a Women's Hour of Power panel, which was hosted by Jill Rowley and Hillary Copeland McAdams. And we have a photo of our speakers. So there we go. We've got Sarah Fry from Square. We've got Rachel Taylor, Penny Hersher, and Deepa Patel. And all of these women had amazing stories and amazing lessons to share. Yeah. It was awesome.
And it was immediately, again, followed by the networking, allowing women to connect with each other. But I think the way that, to your point, it's shifted from it was a social hour, but then it's turned into so much more, including, this panel of inspiring women who, spoke to us about their own personal experiences, allowed us to network after. I know there's been a lot of career opportunities. Can you talk about some of the other things that have gone on in the Girly Geeks group, which we should mention lives year round, not just at the conference?
Yeah.
Some of the other things that you've seen come out of that.
Okay, so what we've been able to do is use it as a platform for people who are looking for work, people who have openings that are looking to fill. You have a target market of about 700 expert Salesforce women around the world, right? It's not just the Bay Area, it's all over the place. And so a lot of people have found jobs through that. And then also, I've had several recruiters come to me, and because I've known people have been looking, I've been able to point them in the right direction. So it's not just about let's go out and have a glass of wine. It's now about who do you know and who can you find, and how can I make my career go further being a woman in tech and working with Salesforce.
Yeah. And what type of people are the Girly Geeks? I mean, who does this appeal to?
So we have everybody from marketing to finance to HR to Uber coders. And in fact, this year we are really excited because one of our panelists we're hoping is going to be a director of engineering at a really big company, big company, please let her say yes.
Even geekier girls.
Super geeky girls, yeah. So women who code, basically. And it's not just, about configuration, it's about women who code.
Right. But it does run the gamut, to your point. Like, I am a member of the Girly Geeks, probably a quieter member, but, I'm not necessarily technical, but it does provide a forum for the networking to kind of connect with each other, to look for the opportunities. And I know there's a lot of mentorship that goes on in there as well.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people kind of asking things like, how do I get paid more? What's the going rate? How do I know if this role is going to be right for me? How do I, move to my next step? And what does it look like? Or I do configuration. I want to do code. Where can I go learn more? Who will introduce me to learning more? And there is, in the last year, we've seen a real growth in the developer evangelist team, focusing on women at Salesforce, in Salesforce and at Dreamforce.
That's great. I know you've also had some great personal stories that have come out of Girly Geeks, and I know one of your favorite is one of the Girly Geeks met her husband while she was at Dreamforce.
Yes, it's so cute. Not to be too romantic, but it's true. So we have a photo of Crystal Carter, who was here last year at Dreamforce. And she was standing in Crate and Barrel up on Union Square, and this guy starts talking to her, and then fast forward, they got married on St. Patrick's Day. How cute is that?
That is very cute. I will not be offended that she had time to leave Dreamforce to do shopping. But no, I think that's great. And, at its heart, one of the things that's great about Girly Geeks is, while it has sort of grown up, to use your words, and it does have all these great networking opportunities, you guys are still a group of women who are friends and social and support each other. And I also want to give a shout out for people who aren't as familiar with Dreamforce, who maybe haven't yet signed up for this year's show, that, living in Dreamforce Chatter, which allows it to go year round, that's something that's open to anybody who's registered for Dreamforce. They can go in, they can join the Girly Geek group, and they can, start fostering these relationships for themselves. I want to shift to talk a little bit about this year, because it's my understanding that if it was 25 women having, their own glasses of wine that they had to pay for back in 2010, and then last year was our huge Salesforce sponsored event, that this year's going to be even sort of bigger and better.
Yeah, so it's very exciting. This year we have about 700 people, mostly customers. You'll be able to sign up for it as a real session. So it's not just, no more bandit events. Well, there will be bandit events, but this is a real part of Dreamforce, and it's going to be at the Westin St. Francis, 6:00 on Sunday evening. And as I say, you'll be able to, when the registration opens up, you'll be able to sign up for it as a session. We are having a panel of technical and business focused women, very influential in the industry, and we're also going to have a networking time. So we will have some hosted tables where you'll be able to ask questions such as, how do I define my brand, or how do I seek my next opportunity? How do I move into being a coder? And there will be some areas that are specifically set aside for the really technical women.
That's great. And I know that there's also going to be potentially Women in Technology sort of day.
Yeah, so immediately following the session on Sunday evening, there'll be a focus on women in technology in the dev zone, because that's where we should be, right? We should be in the dev zone. And the developer evangelist team are going to be hosting a couple of career sessions, and there'll maybe be like a coffee morning. And there will be people there that you can ask for technical guidance and technical skills. And it's really a place to reach out and reach in, so you can get your hands dirty.
So I know that you also personally have a mission. Like, you want to see, and again, as we say, Girly Geeks are open to everyone, but you want to see a lot of growth at the geekier end of the spectrum. You want to see more developers, more women developers coming into Dreamforce and into Salesforce's community.
Yeah, so I can write a really crummy trigger, or I can write a terrible Visual Force page. I'm not uber geeky, but I really appreciate the people who are. And we have the community Force.com MVPs, which is what I am one of. And then we also have the Force.com MVPs, who are the really technical people. We don't have any women in the Force.com MVPs. And we know that they are out there. So we want to find them. We want to mentor them. And this time next year, we want to have at least one woman Force.com MVP.
Okay, you heard it here.
Please.
The call is out there. If you're watching and you're a female, Force.com developer, or one, please, you can find Geraldine, you can find me. We want to make you an MVP. Now feels like a good moment to take a break and see what's going on our social streams. Marissa, any questions for me or for Geraldine today?
Wow, we have so many questions coming in, and we also have a lot of hellos, and Geraldine, you're on fire. You have quite the support network out there. It's fantastic. So here are two questions that I think go really well hand in hand. Thank you, Anna and Andra, for these questions. So do the Girly Geeks all have mentors? And are your mentors primarily men and women? And who do you personally look for motivation from in your career?
So I do have a mentor program that I belong to. I just joined this summer. I'd never done it before. It was kind of as a result of starting my own business. I recognized I had some weaknesses and some flaws. Gosh, I recognized I had just a few. And so I actively sought out a mentorship program. And in Houston, there's a group called Women's Energy Network, and they offer a group mentorship program. And so I just joined that this year. So, and then in terms of who else do I talk to, a lot of people that have helped me have been people that I've met through Salesforce and also through Dreamforce. And I've had people such as Jim McGrath tell me when I was starting my own business, don't let anyone steal your lunch money.
Oh, okay.
And he was right. He was dead right. He was, like, stand up for yourself and don't let people take advantage of you.
That's great. Other questions?
Oh, yeah. So Sarah wants to know, just as you were just saying, you got this great piece of mentoring information. What advice do you have for young women in technology?
Learn to code.
Both of you.
Learn to code.
Learn to code. Learn to code. So two things. Learn to code and learn how to run and manage a business process. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people that can do Salesforce and there's a lot of people that can code. But that technology plus business process is what I have built my entire career on.
I guess I would say as the liberal arts major of it, I think that is great, and I would love to see more women coding. But also, if you are a woman in technology who's not technical, that you still have an amazing opportunity to have a seat at the table, and that you should have the same amount of confidence that a male developer has when it comes to making business decisions, representing yourself in meetings, that, there's a place at the table for a lot of different voices. And I think, starting off as a woman in technology, it was very intimidating. I was surrounded by, my, class of new people that started, I think was like 60 men and 20 women. And I think 55 of the men were computer science majors. So I think learning to find your voice and your confidence can be hard at first, but it allows you to continue to rise in technology. But I do also wish that more women were coding.
And don't let anyone steal your lunch money.
Don't let anybody steal your lunch money, definitely.
That's fantastic. I mean, I look up to both of you guys, so I really feel great about being able to look to you both as mentors and also as people that have information and experience in technology. So we have another great question from Hannah Na. Thank you, Hannah, for tuning in. What's the best part about owning your own business, Geraldine?
Best and worst.
Twice a week.
Okay.
I'm terrible. I play golf twice a week. That's one of the best parts. So I used to work at Aperio. I absolutely loved my job. I worked at Core Matrix. I absolutely loved my job. I never had a moment's complaint about the work and the people, but I was traveling a lot, and so what I recognized was that I was just worn out and I didn't really have much of a life, and so because the more senior you are, the more difficult your projects and the more you're probably going to be gone. And so when I started Endium, one of the things I said was, I am going to play golf twice a week.
Wow.
Once is 5 o'clock on Sunday evenings. That might not really count. and once is like 5 o'clock on a Tuesday evening. So it's not as if I'm out there at 1 o'clock on a Monday afternoon. But that's what I wanted to do.
Great.
Yeah, and then also we have a really special viewer right now who I think that I'd love to be sitting watching this video with. Sassy has a question.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Sassy is tuning in. Can't wait for Salesforce Live at 11 a.m. You're a mother? No. But you're a wife, MVP, and entrepreneur. How do you manage it all?
How do I manage it all? So I have a really nice husband, very supportive. He's an awesome guy. And I just realized that you can only eat what's on the plate in front of you. Right? So when I started Endium, I was thinking, oh my gosh, I have to do this, and I have to do this, and I have to put down a deposit on my jet. And not really, but all of these things I felt I needed to do. And then I just realized, okay, what do I need to do today? Just concentrate on what I need to get done today. And then also looking at things I know I'm not very good at and finding people who could fill the gap for me. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if I can, I'll tell you my Cinderella story about Endium is that I put myself up on LinkedIn, and within 2 days, this company called Adir Creative had found me. They gave me my first customer, and then they were so happy with the work I had done. They named me, they branded me, they built my website, they did my press releases, they told me which blog posts to write. and they completely launched my whole business for me. They were absolute stars.
That's great, but I have to interject here. They didn't launch your business for you. They helped you out because of the talent and skills that you brought to the table. And so, great for them and great that it's a Cinderella story, but I think, Cinderella played a pretty big part in that in this case.
I may be the sales force behind it, but they were the force behind it.
Well, that's great.
Let's get to one more question before getting back to you. So is the Girly Geek affiliated with other women geek groups, i.e. Bay Area Girl Geek Dinner or any others?
No, we are one and only, it's a Dreamforce, Salesforce organization. Many of us are members of other groups, so the Girl Geek Dinners and such like. But if I had known how big the Girly Geeks were going to be, and that this year's going to be 700 of us getting together, then I probably would have chosen a different name, not quite so pink, and I probably would have also been a much better curator of our history.
Well, and I'll also throw out that we internally at Salesforce for our own employees have a group called FemForce, which is kind of like Girly Geeks, but for employees only. It lives in our own internal chatter organization, and the big event that we co-sponsored or we sponsored with you guys last year, we promoted through our own FemForce network. So I feel like, Dreamforce is this occasion where we all come together for 4 days and then we have this community live on, and that's where Girly Geeks is. But to be fair, a lot of us do belong to groups either in our own companies or in our own cities. And Girly Geeks is just another channel for us to connect with each other. And of course we have Geraldine to thank for that. So we'll get to some more questions later in the show, but I want to get back to asking Geraldine some more questions. I'm really excited that this year we went out the door with our big marquee keynotes and we had women's faces up there. And I have to say that we are always, as a team, very aware and trying to make sure that we have that representation on stage. And this year, thanks to some personal asks, truthfully, from our CEO, we had Sheryl Sandberg and Marissa confirmed pretty much from get-go, which was great. It's such a cool time for Dreamforce. It's a great time for women in technology that we've got leaders like that. Can you tell me why it's sort of exciting for you that we've got these great leaders here this year?
So aside from being great for the group, what's also really interesting for me is that I had actually started reading Sheryl's Lean In book right around the time I started my company. And the same time I heard Anise Parker, who's the mayor of Houston, saying what a great city Houston was to start a business. And then Forbes announced Houston as the #1 city for women in business. All of these things came together. And then reading Sheryl's book, one of the things I took away from it was you have to be the CEO of yourself. And that really kind of gave me the confidence to go for it. So I'm not going to say I have confidence every day and every moment because sometimes I'm freaking out. But for the most part, reading some of the ideas that she had about putting yourself forward and not being shy and not worrying about how people are going to judge you too much really gave me the confidence to just keep going.
That's great. I mean, let's just dig into that a little bit more because you started your own company. And it's not just that there aren't a lot of women in technology or women who are doing what you're doing, which is, more on the technical side of things, but you went out and decided to do it on your own, despite having, you've had a very successful career. And as you said, you've enjoyed your time with all of your employers. Was it Dreamforce? Was it the community? What were the steps along the way that got you the courage to found Indium?
Okay, so truly, if I hadn't started the Girly Geeks, I probably would not have started Indium.
Wow.
Because I saw how it could grow into something that was not just for me, but was for other people. Mm-hmm. And I like to do good work, and I like to do work with nice people. And if I hadn't done that thing 4 years ago, I don't think I would have been brave enough or foolish enough to actually keep going for it. So, you organize a happy hour and you just keep your fingers crossed and you really hope that one other person shows up and it's not just me and Brandy.
Although that would have been fun.
That would have been fun too, but I wanted it to be for other people. And the same thing with the company. It was like, okay, well, how are people going to find me? How am I going to move to the next level? What got me here is not necessarily going to get me to the next space. And just looking inside myself and thinking about the advice that my mom would give me really gave me the impetus to keep going.
That's great. Well, I'm very happy if Dreamforce played any role along the way, which it sounds like we did. And of course, your own personal agency and of course, the advice of Ms. Sheryl Sandberg. Yes. So Girly Geeks, again, it used to kind of be this secret thing. It used to be you and Brandy and anyone who happened to find you. Now you guys are kind of out and exposed. So I have to ask, what do the men think about this?
So I would say 99% of them super supportive. And there's some people who have actually come to me since we started Girly Geeks, and they have said, so for example, Dave Messenger, he said, since my daughter was born, I realized that I want her to be able to do everything that a guy can do. And so looking at the organizations such as the Bay Area Girl Geeks or Girl Geek Dinners or Women in Tech or, you know, the some of the Salesforce groups, he said, I realized that there's a place for her that isn't just, you know, a feminized version of what she should be doing.
That's great. And I have to ask, are men allowed at Girly Geek events?
There's a couple, Kurt Crenshaw, because he always invites us to the best parties.
There you go.
And David Shah, because he also invites us to the best parties. And then there's, why Sassy? But you know, Sassy is kind of gender neutral.
I don't know what Sassy. I
Sassy
met
is
Sassy.
a member. Sassy is a member.
That's great. Well, I have to ask you, what advice do you have for women who are considering coming to Dreamforce and kind of deepening their involvement with Salesforce.com and this community in general?
So I think sign up for the sessions, research what you want to do, and know what you're maybe not so good at that you want to be better at. So for example, I am not very good with the Salesforce Workbench. So my sessions this year, I want to work on using the Workbench. So I'm going to go to the hands-on training. They always fill up early. So know what sessions you're going to want before the registration goes live. And then join the Girly Geeks and reach out to one person. Because if you just reach out to one person, you'll have somebody you know, you'll have somebody to go to breakfast with, you'll have other people that you can talk to between sessions, and it will make it much more of an experience rather than just attending a conference.
Yeah, I will say, you know, we're so excited Dreamforce has gotten so big. But it can be intimidating to walk into a party with 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 people. So I want to thank you. I mean, the Girly Geeks is amazing, and I'm so glad it has grown beyond social. But if one person watching this today who's coming to the conference for the first time, or even not for the first time, but hasn't really made friends in the community, if you're a woman, please join the Girly Geeks in Dreamforce Chatter. It's a great way to get to know other women who are coming to the show. And like you said, if you can meet one person and you feel more comfortable walking around into a party by yourself, having a friend with you, I think that's a great thing.
You'll have somebody to meet for lunch. You'll have somebody to go to the survivors lunch with on the Friday. So not me, but somebody else usually organizes a survivors lunch on Friday. You know, you'll find other people that you have things in common with. And then even if you hate networking, before you know it, you're networking, right? So you're building all of the connections that you're going to have, not just in Dreamforce, but throughout the year and then the following years and the subsequent years. And then when you're looking for a new role or you're looking for some advice, you'll have other people to go to and people to ask.
That's great. I'm going to turn back to Marissa and see if we've got some more questions that either of us can answer.
Yeah, we have a lot of questions and a lot more positivity around this. And Brian Kwong is also asking, let's find and nominate our first female Force MVP. Let's do it. Let's get there.
Right.
So Brian wants to ask, you seem like you do a lot of work in California. Why do you stay in Texas?
Ooh.
So when I started Endium, I really thought that all of my customers would be in Houston. I was like, I'm in Houston. They're going to find me in Houston. They're going to Google me and find me in Houston. Not so much. Customers are everywhere. So from Florida to Illinois to Iowa to Kentucky and all the way across. Maybe half of our customers are in Houston, but people are just all over the globe. So I have been out here a fair bit recently, but typically I'm at home.
Good.
And since I started Endium, I have been at home more in the last 6 months, well, this year, than I was the previous 4 years put together.
So you're more in Houston now than you were before. So you did have the desired effect on top of the golf twice a week.
Yes.
Big shout outs to Houston.
Yeah. So Angela wants to know, what advice do you have for mothers of young girls? Oh, both of you. I mean,
I am a mother. I'm a mother of a very young girl. Wow. Well, so, I mean, I think a lot of these things get said a lot and are a little bit cliche. But, you know, we've seen traditionally women in the math and hard sciences, they just, you know, aren't as many of them. So I personally want to make sure that my daughter feels, you know, as empowered as possible to go into those fields if that's where she excels and that's where her passion is. Both of her parents are non-technical people, so I'm not sure if that will be how she's disposed. But, you know, I want her to just feel in general that all of these opportunities are open to her. You know, I was very lucky that, you know, I had very encouraging parents and I had a brother, and it was never that, you know, I was somehow expected to do anything different than he was. I was expected to go to school and excel and work hard. So I hope I can do the same for her. And, you know, just hope that I can encourage her to embrace the skills that will sort of help her in our evolving economy. Who knows what the next big things will be, but it does seem like a good math and science background are going to be key to that. And I'm sure my engineer father would love if his granddaughter turned out to be technical.
Well, there's also a lot of programs out right now for girls to do things during the summer holidays and the Christmas holidays, right? Where they can get hands-on experience of how they're going to build an app, how they're going to, market it. And then they're really coding. So 11, 12, 13-year-olds, there's several groups like Girls Who Code, I know is one. And then there are some girl coding summer camps. And you don't have to be a coder, right? Maybe your thing is dinosaurs, or maybe your thing is chemistry. Whatever it is, there is a group out there for you. Yeah. So find it.
Yeah. And I know there's also a bunch of companies that are, building apps and building toys that are, and I'm not crazy about the it's got pink bows.
Trinket.
Yeah. Like the girl Lego thing was a little strange. But I think, the idea that they're trying to develop things to get kids involved younger and make sure they aren't so male focused. Those are definitely things I'll be exploring, but we probably need to potty train first. So.
I will never buy my girls when I have, all 12 of them. I will never buy any of them those big for her pink pens.
Oh, those are hilarious, though. The reviews on Amazon are definitely worth looking up if you haven't. I'll throw it back to Marissa, see if we have more questions.
Yes, we absolutely have a bunch more questions. And so Stella wants to know, what are the best parties at Dreamforce that you're getting invited to because you're a girly geek?
Okay, so typically...
Lay it out for us.
I was like, I don't get to go to any of the parties, so I'll listen to you.
Okay, so typically the most fun party has, the last several years, has been the Aperio party.
Which you're not at all biased.
Well, I used to work there, right? So I was guaranteed to get in. However, I don't work there anymore, and this year they're moving to a smaller venue. So I'm thinking that the most fun this year is going to be the Green Day concert over at AT&T Park.
It's going to be
right?
pretty amazing.
Maybe there's someone out there who wants to kind of sponsor an area for the Girly Geeks. That would be kind of nice.
Okay.
Hint.
All right. We'll think about that. See what we can do.
Awesome. And so Pamela wants to know, and I know you did mention that first time that you guys met was on Salesforce Live, but was that really the first time you met?
Okay. Well, I guess technically no, because that picture from that first happy hour, I was actually, it was the friend that I came with.
Behind the camera.
I was sort of behind the camera for that. And I came for research because, it was our first Salesforce Live. We didn't know if anyone would watch or what we'd be doing. But we knew that we needed to get stories on there and people, talking between the big keynotes. And we were aware that your group had formed and that people were really excited about it. So we, of course, had to go have a glass of wine with you beforehand so that we were all comfortable and prepared to talk the next day. So, yes, I was at the first Girly Geeks happy hour, and that's technically where we first met.
And then also we had a friend in common. So yes. Ruthie lives in Houston.
Hi, Ruthie.
And we found each other on Twitter. And then I worked out that she knew some people and she worked out that I knew some people. And then it was like, you're Ruthie, you're Geraldine. Oh, and you both know Julie, so we had you in common. Yes.
There we go.
That's Match.com for Ruthie and Geraldine.
Exactly.
Wait, one more question that I want to get to before we cut off the questions from Sarah. As a consultant, how do you make sure that your projects don't end when you leave the project, Geraldine?
So one of the things I really like to do is when I have put together this Salesforce baby and I'm about to anoint it and hand it over, I want to make sure that during the project there has been somebody who is technical or at least technically interested in learning Salesforce, and so that when I leave the project, I'll be able to hand it off to them. One of the challenges we have in the industry right now is that you cannot hire Salesforce talent for love nor money. And so I'm actually speaking on a session this year in the Dev Zone, sponsored by Nelson Technologies, about how you can grow your own force farm. So how can you find the talent within your organization and how you can groom them, and then how you can make sure that you can retain them.
That's great. All right. Well, thank you so much. And we'll definitely try to get on Twitter afterwards and answer any questions we didn't get to today. I want to thank Geraldine so much for being here. She's really inspiring to me. She started off as a Salesforce.com community member, Dreamforce attendee, became more and more involved with us, and then, founded this group, which is such a great resource. If you're coming to Dreamforce this year, we're very excited. If you're coming to Dreamforce and you're a woman, please consider joining Girly Geeks. It's a Girly Geeks. It's a great way to connect with other women and just get advice for the show. And everyone should be using Dreamforce Chatter if you've registered. It's a great place to make connections and get ready for the show. So I want to thank you so much for joining us today and for talking about this. We're very excited for the women in technology to be a bigger and bigger part of the conference, and excited to see where we take it from here.
I'll be seeing everybody in the Dev Zone this year.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for joining us today. I want to remind you again that we'll be coming to you live every week on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Next week, we'll be talking about getting the most out of Dreamforce partners. We'll be having members from the partner team and the App Exchange team here to talk to you about how you can prepare for that, a very exciting part of Dreamforce. We'll have over 350 partners in our 2 cloud expos, plus a whole App Exchange zone. It's going to be a really, really great place to find those solutions this year. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next Tuesday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Thanks so much.